Why you shouldn't be afraid of complexity. In this short video, I'm going to be touching on a subject I've noticed a lot of new developers seem to be struggling with. I've even heard stories of professionals and educators misrepresenting it. And that's the meaning of complexity. So what is complexity? And why do people get this wrong so often? People often seem to think that it is something that's difficult. If something is complex, it's difficult, versus if it's simple, it's easy. This is a common misconception. Difficulty is a way of categorizing things by skill level required to complete them. Another way to look at it is how challenging something is. It is most commonly recognized in video games as difficulty modes, such as easy, normal, hard, possibly even nightmare, impossible. You might have heard of some of these. Complexity is not any of that. Complexity is a measure of size or scale. You might be thinking, that doesn't sound right. We don't use complexity to measure distance, right? Well, technically you could, but there are other words better suited for different distance measurements, such as kilometers, miles. Let's look at how complex compares to simple. These are two words that are commonly understood to be the opposites of each other. But what's the difference between simple and complex? The truth is, there isn't one. That's also a misconception. Simple and complex are two words for the same measurement used to describe more or less in the case of complexity. So simple is literally the opposite of complex, but they're both part of the same measurement. In the case of simple, to say something is more simple is like saying it's smaller than something else. In the case of complex, to say something is more complex is like saying it's bigger than something else. I'll explain this with a simple metaphor anyone can understand. The puzzle metaphor. Here you can see a fairly simple jigsaw puzzle. Let's take the puzzle apart and look at the unique pieces of the puzzle that are included as part of this jigsaw puzzle. A 3x3 puzzle made with pieces that will have exactly 4 corners, 4 edges, and 1 middle pieces. But just because it's made of more of some of these pieces doesn't make it more difficult. It's just more complex. Let's go over these pieces one by one to describe and discuss why they are different. The corner piece has 2 sides that cannot be connected to another piece, and 2 that can. The side piece has 1 side that cannot be connected to another piece, and 3 that can. And the middle piece has 4 sides that can be connected to other pieces, and none that cannot. Here you can see the 3 unique puzzle pieces, 1 corner, 1 edge, and 1 middle. If we assemble the puzzle back together, you'll find while doing so that you only need to know how to work with these 3 pieces, not 9. Even though the puzzle is made up of 9 pieces, it's no more difficult than 3. Now let's look at a similar puzzle. Oh no, this one looks way more complex, you might be thinking. You're not wrong. This puzzle is 30 by 30, for a total of 900 pieces, 100 times as many as the 3x3. But if you're thinking that makes this puzzle more difficult, that's where you're jumping from one thought process to another completely different thought process. This puzzle is made up of only 3 unique pieces. It has 4 corner pieces, 112 side pieces, and 784 middle pieces. Will this puzzle take more time to complete than a 3x3? Yes. Will it be more tedious? Yes. But will it be more difficult or challenging? Not in the slightest. Every puzzle piece is exactly the same. So every corner piece is the same as each other corner piece. Every side piece is exactly the same as each other, and every middle piece is exactly the same. You would be able to complete this puzzle while blindfolded. That's how easy this puzzle is. So here's why the puzzle piece metaphor works so well for this. Simpler is just less total components, tasks, time investment, or pieces of the puzzle. More complex is just more total components, tasks, time investment, or pieces of the puzzle. Still not convinced? Try swapping out this metaphor for any common daily task that you know how to do. Doing more of that task makes it more complex, but doesn't make it more difficult. Or having more steps involved in the task that are the same steps you know how to do, but takes more time to do because there's more of them, again, makes it more complex, but not more difficult. Or maybe you're more into genetics and have heard the term simple life form versus complex life form. There's another example here where more DNA or longer strands of DNA something has, the more complex it is, as opposed to less DNA or smaller strands of DNA something has, the simpler it is. More of a thing, larger quantity, scale, pure numbers. It's all a way of measuring something. This is why complexity, and likewise simplicity, is a measurement of size, not difficulty. And that is why you shouldn't be afraid when you're trying to do something that is complex. I hope you found this short video illuminating. And remember, if you've ever done something simple and suddenly need to make it more complex, don't think of it as more difficult. Just think of it as more of the same.